Where's the live feed? Yeah. Oh, god damn it. Fucker. Get off my shit. Here we go.
That was our hashtag one lucky guy. Outnumbered to top the hour. Now back to you.
We'll be watching.
Thank you.
Right now, we are awaiting the start of a traditional Islamic prayer service for Muhammad Ali. It is the first of 2 public services in Louisville for the boxing legend who died last week at the age of 74. Nearly 14,000 people expected there today. Tomorrow, a funeral procession will wind its way through Louisville, followed by a private burial and the public memorial. Chief Correspondent Jonathan Hunt is live in Louisville for us right now. Jonathan.
Yes, we understand. Muhammad Ali was great. Which he is. He's great. Media screaming at Bernie to drop out.
California, as well as the other states that she did last night, the editorial pushback against Bernie Sanders, the calls for him to drop out, the insults against him and his campaign and his supporters and his legacy, and in some cases even his hair, would reach record heights, and they did. It didn't even take until today, actually. Many of those editorials started going up last night. And to give you a little idea of some of them, here's the first. Bernie Sanders needs to fall in line. Wow. Way to run with the line they told you to use.
But that was, I love how literal that is.
Yeah, how liberal that is. Exactly.
That people say, like, oh, hey, you guys got to fall in line. Yeah. I don't think you're supposed to write that as the headline. Like, you're supposed to be more subtle than that. A little bit subtle. Right, but they're like, no, we work for the establishment. And Bernie Sanders is your time to fall in line. Yeah.
They might as well just print, Bernie Sanders needs to lie and say that Hillary's great. Like, no, like, be subtle. Like, Bernie Sanders needs to do what's right for the party. That's subtle. There, printed. Next one. Hillary Clinton made history, but Bernie Sanders stubbornly ignored it. I saw another editorial. I won't name the name of the person, but it was that article, basically.
I don't give a fuck if goddamn Hillary Clinton made history or not. Whether she's a good president or a bad president, she's gonna be bad. I mean, the track record sucks.
Actually, not as unfair, right?
The stubbornly ignored it?
Yeah, because he's not ignoring the historic part of Hillary Clinton being the first female major. Okay, so that's a separate conversation. No, he's stubbornly staying in the race. That part is true. He is being stubborn, and he's not leaving the race. But to make it a male-female thing, that's a Hillary Clinton talking point. And every time you write that, you're in essence writing on behalf of the Clinton campaign while pretending to be a journalist.
Yeah, I actually just tweeted. If you use Bernie Bro in an article, you are an employee for the Hillary Clinton campaign. You might be unpaid like most of her interns, but you are an employee for her campaign. And yeah, the question that you were asked, the question that the New York Times reporter asked him, this now with the male privilege and the staying in, all of it is just...
There is no male privilege. If there's male fucking privilege, I'd be working.
Exclusively about that.
Be working fucking for
big
bucks.
Some of us are focusing on the fact that we're still in the middle of an election here.
There's no such thing as white privilege or male privilege.
Next one,
Period.
It's time for Bernie Sanders to admit he lost and drop out. This is an article that Matthew Iglesias at Vox has been updating about every day so that they can tweet it 10 times a day.
Damn it.
And they just keep pushing it out. 20, 30, 40 tweets a day.
Well, ironically, I object to it a lot less today than I did when they first started
exactly
tweeting
a week
it
ago.
That's right.
Yeah.
So now we've had almost all the elections, and I think it's fair to ask Bernie Sanders to drop out. I think the manner in which you do it is interesting. And if you're in the press, it certainly matters if you're a prospective journalist or you claim to be objective but are secretly like, Bernie, what's wrong with you? Hillary's the winner, right? Okay, so And again, it's all. Sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's not subtle.
Yeah,
right?
but that might actually, the one that we just showed might be the best of the bunch.
That's right.
It's certainly opinionated, but it's clearly opinionated, and it's not. At least it's not telling him to literally fall in line. The next one, inside the bitter last days of Bernie's revolution.
So I mean, there's so many things wrong with that.
God.
Right? And so, and that really goes to the theme of almost all the articles I've read about him, which is bitter. You know, what's wrong with you? And derisively talking about the revolution, the so-called revolution.
Yeah.
Like,
What revolution?
That's maybe the worst example because it's the end of the revolution. It reminds me of that scene from the beginning of Gladiator. Why won't they know when they're beaten?
Oh, yeah.
Right, and then Maximus says, would you? Would I? Right?
Yeah.
No, we would fight. That's
No,
right.
The establishment has unleashed hell, unfortunately.
That's right. So, and that misses the whole point. Part of the reason that Bernie is fighting back, and even though I thought he should suspend his campaign yesterday, I respected his speech last night, I thought it was gutsy, is because this is not about Bernie Sanders. I think he thinks it's less that he has a great chance of winning, that's why he's going to continue, and more about, no, we're going to continue the political revolution. That's literally how he started the speech. And I know, having interviewed him several times and watched him throughout this campaign, no, he believes in the ideas.
Yeah.
So part of why he's staying in the race is to fight for those ideas. And he thinks, and I agree with this part wholeheartedly, that the revolution has just begun. It's not the end of the revolution, it's the beginning of the revolution. But when you talk like that, that's when the establishment gets really annoyed. Oh, you kids with your so-called revolution. No, everything's just fine. Fall in line already. The establishment has your best interests at heart. Why don't you just bow your head?
You get to have 3 months of a progressive fantasy in a primary, and then you have to fall in line. Yeah. Whereas, like, the idea that he's bitter, that it's all just about him. No, like, Hillary's literally, I'm with her. It's about her. It's that she wants to be the most recent cog in the establishment machine, very similar to the way the Republicans generally do it. The cog would have been Mitt Romney flavored, or McCain flavored, or Dole flavored, or whatever. Jeb Bush was going to do that. It's a slightly them-focused version of whatever the establishment wants, both political and economic. Hillary is that for the Democratic Party.
Mm-hmm.
Biden would have been something like it if he had run. But Bernie, it's not about him. That's the difference.
That's why it doesn't compute for them. They can't understand it. They keep trying to put it into the old formula, and it doesn't fit, and it's frustrating them. Like, why won't this bag go in? Right?
Yeah.
And, thank you for the haunting imagery of Bob Dole flavored anything.
Bob Dole flavored anything, all right. Jeez.
And I want to be clear about this because again, they don't understand. They legitimately don't understand it. So let's try to clarify it as much as. And they love to treat us like children. Like, oh, do you know math? Okay, so we'll return the favor. We'll treat you like children. The revolution is about, hey, this system right now has privately financed elections, which means that millions of dollars are given to these politicians, and then they, very unsurprisingly, do what those donors that gave them millions of dollars wanted them to do. Yeah. And we have all the evidence in the world. For Princeton survey, looked at 2 decades of evidence and said public opinion has no correlation to public policy. Donor opinion has a direct correlation. Now, see, that is overwhelming proof. 1,800 policy positions. See, you're the children. You don't understand how corrupt this is. The press. I'm talking about the establishment press. And they don't think they're the establishment. They're like, what are you talking about? I'm just a lowly writer for the Boston Globe. But when you ask them and you ask, hey, what do you think about the system or et cetera, they're like, oh, come on, don't be conspiratorial. No, it's not a conspiracy. It's fact. Princeton and Northwestern studied it together. 1,800 policy positions. When you have no correlation between public opinion and public policy, that means you don't live in a democracy. So that seems, that is, they can't compute that. They refuse to understand or believe it, even though it is hard, cold facts. So when Bernie Sanders says, I'm going to overturn that system, because that system has not worked for the American people, and I want to, for example, publicly finance elections so that your politicians serve the public instead of the private interests that are financing them. And you say, oh, okay, you had your run.
That's a good fucking idea, too.
You're missing the point of the revolution. Yeah. And that's because you are the establishment and you can't see straight.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean that we don't have incremental progress. Like, Hillary Clinton will be the first female nominee, and isn't it nice of the establishment to occasionally give us different flavors of oligarchy? That we can have it in female or male. Men and women can both do the bidding of the richest people in this country now. And isn't that great?
And they view that as a personal attack against Hillary Clinton. But it is.
It's not. It's an attack on the establishment using Hillary Clinton.
It's a systemic problem. The system corrupts by its very nature because you have to collect that money, unless you're Bernie Sanders, in order to win. Well, are millions of dollars going to influence any human being, any Homo sapien? Yes. Generally.
Of course.
99% of the time, they do.
If you said you're going to pay for my mortgage but I voted for Clinton, I'd pay for my mortgage and I not vote for Clinton, but I say I did.
They only think she is free of it.
Especially Republicans.
Especially, oh yeah. They hate the Koch brothers donating money, but Hillary, I mean, come on. She's not going to use
Is
this
she
money for anything.
superhuman, etc.? I mean, and look, Bernie Sanders has a case to make that, like, whatever money he's taken, he has been consistent for 40 years on those issues, right? And he's taken very, very little money, and most of it is from you guys at $27 at a time, right?
Yeah.
So that is what we're fighting against. That revolution is nowhere near over, and if that continues to bother you, that we all collectively won't fall in line to play the regular old political game, red versus blue, Democrat versus Republican, and just accept our fate that the corruption is here to stay and there's nothing you can do about it. You just have to, in John's word, have a democratically flavored version of that corruption. Well, then, yes, then we've got a fight on our hands, and that fight isn't going to end because we refuse to accept it. You're right. We refuse to accept that corruption. We will fight it whether it's Hillary Clinton or whether it's Donald Trump. Now, that doesn't...
And whether it was Obama.
That doesn't mean that on Election Day we are going to vote, quote-unquote, as they would put it, spitefully, or we're going to vote for the worst candidate, or the...
Well, I will vote spitefully. I'm already telling you right now. Whatever I do, it'll be spitefully.
Yes, if I have to vote for Hillary Clinton, there will be no joy in Mudville as I punch the Hillary Clinton ticket.
I hope that the machine can actually read the little puncher if there's a big glob of spit in the middle of it. I don't know. I'm going to have to test that, I guess.
So, and that has nothing to do with the fact that she's a woman. I also didn't like Ted Cruz or Carly Fiorina. It was based on their ideas, but more so than any quote-unquote ideas they had, the corruption that they're all a part of. I would have loved to have voted for Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah. We might still get that chance someday.
Maybe, and if she's on the ticket, well then we vote a little less spitefully, right? But that isn't the main point. The main point is you've got to overturn the system. And if you expect us to bow our heads on that, well, you are going to be sorely disappointed.
You're fucking damn right you are. You'll be very disappointed that we don't fucking goddamn fall in line and follow the system. The system hasn't done nothing for the American fucking people. Other fucking countries and other fucking people is what it's done it for. Got our military fighting for other goddamn countries and their people instead of fighting for us. Although they say it's for our rights and our freedoms. Well, as they're out there fighting for these goddamn other people in other countries, our rights and our freedoms are slowly... We had a list like this in the 90s. It's so big I can't even put it on camera. Here's our list of rights now in 2016. Whoop. Seriously. If you don't fucking believe me, start reading. Start doing some homework. Here, eat that. Here. I don't want it. Thank you. Oh, let's see what we got. Here we go. Establishment tells Bernie to suck it up.
Of the articles against Bernie Sanders today, just to explain further to the establishment press why we call them the establishment press, because they literally can't see it. So we want to help them out as a public service announcement for you guys. So in the Boston Globe article that says Bernie Sanders needs to fall in line, that's the big headline. He calls Sanders' campaign its current state of self-parody. And by the way, this was written before last night. It was before the elections, before Bernie Sanders refused to get out after the last set of voting. So, current state of self-parody. Well, the guy ran a tough campaign against Hillary Clinton. What part
the
of
press keeps making Hillary look like shit, and honestly, I don't hate it because she is shit.
You assume like that. Oh, can't everybody see how loathsome this guy is? I can't stand him, right? And then he says that he has potential to do real damage to the Democratic Party. This is Michael Cohen, writing. Okay, now that's a okay opinion to have, but it's a way of saying like, get out, get out, get out, get out. You're intolerable. Okay, what must be protected is the Democratic Party. Okay, and then he says he's lacerating Clinton with the kind of personal attacks that he once said he'd never lodge against her. Lacerating Clinton.
How the fuck's he lacerating Clinton?
We're not talking about her during his last speech. Which is it?
Now, I asked him when he was on the show, why didn't you say the bankruptcy bill when asked what position she's changed on? And he said, look, I'm not running that campaign. I said, why didn't you talk about the possible indictment against her? He said, I'm not running that kind of campaign. He refused to do the most obvious lines of attack in politics. Now, on the other hand, we saw what real personal attacks are the minute Trump turned his attention to Hillary Clinton. Oh, Monica Lewinsky, etc. I mean, Bernie Sanders wasn't within miles. His main concern with her is she's part of the corrupt system where you take millions of dollars and then you do what the millionaires told you to do. Right? That is not lacerating her personally. That's actually more of a criticism of the system than it is of Hillary Clinton personally. If you can't say that, well then, why are you running the campaign? What is he supposed to do? Like, well, there's a problem in the country, but I can't tell you what it is, because then it might seem personal against Hillary Clinton. Okay,
that's bullshit.
So then we go to New York Times. Hillary Clinton made history, but Bernie Sanders stubbornly ignored it. In the part of that article, they say that when he says our vision will be the future of America. Now, okay, that's almost a standard political line. I don't even want to give credit for that. That's what almost every politician's ever said. In fact, Bill Clinton and Al Gore said it together when they said they were going to build a bridge to the 21st century. They're building a bridge to the future. And normally people go, great, that's a hopeful message. Our vision will be the future of America. And no one can make that argument better than Bernie Sanders because he has an overwhelmingly high percentage of the young vote, the future of America. They called it messianic. Like, oh, what do you think you're a messiah? It's because your vision of the future? Every politician talks about their vision of the future. And when it's an establishment politician, you applaud wildly. But when it's Bernie Sanders, messianic. So do you see what we're saying about your bias that you're not even aware of? Because you take something that is benign or neutral and you twist it against them. And then you go, what bias? What? I don't know what you're talking about. We're perfectly fair. That's the New York Times. Okay, more. They say that there was anger at Mrs. Clinton.
Hey, but stop.
That she exemplifies. And that in his rally last night in Santa Monica, it was visceral and abundant. Yes, there is anger at the system, but you're painting it like it's anger at her personally. No, it's anger that the entire system is corrupt, that it's awash in private interest, the millions of dollars that then lead to exactly what they want instead of what the voters want. We should be angry about that. And again, that goes to the heart of your bias that you don't realize. If you think that we should not be angry about that corruption, that we should just take it lying down. Like, oh, I'm calm. Oh, yeah, all my representatives now don't represent me. They represent their donors. Princeton, Northwestern, everyone has proven that out for decade after decade. But I should be calm about it. Hey, you can have fun with your cute little revolution, but don't get angry about it. Your revolution should be with teacups and scones, and you should be very calm and polite.
Teacups and scones are for fucking goddamn Great Britain in the UK. Coffee and donuts are the American people, motherfucker. So I don't want to hear about fucking teacups and scones. The fuck?
We're not going to take it. That doesn't mean physical. It's totally made up charges of violence from the most liberal, most non-violent senator in U.S. history, at least in my lifetime. I should be clear, okay? So, and then you got all that. Okay, no, but we are going to be loud, and if that annoys you, sorry. And then we go to another article from The Guardian, and even The Guardian, they say, and you could tell this whole article was derisive in every way, and he says, near the end, now Sanders has fought a remarkable and inspiring campaign. Now, that's not how you painted it earlier. Earlier, you talked about how, it's useless and futile, and why is he doing it? What's the point? But now that they want him to drop out, nice pat on the head. You've been remarkable and inspiring. Now run along. Because the very next sentence is, he now risks tainting it. Oh, like, hey,
we wouldn't want to taint it.
No, yeah. Be a good boy and run along, okay? You had a little fun with your inspiring campaign, but we will punish you if you keep going, and we will ruin your reputation, Okay. Now, finally, we get to Howard Dean's quote in yet another mainstream outlet. And they talk to him about, hey, Howard, you knew when to be a good boy, right? In 2004, you knew when you were beaten, right?
Yeah.
And he gives plentiful quotes about that now that he's a lobbyist. He's like, oh, yes, you should know when you're beaten.
Yeah.
And the final quote in the article is Dean saying, you don't get any points for carrying on or complaining about it that you lost. You get points for sucking it up.
That's true.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. You don't get points. Howard, you get dollars. Okay, so I get it. When you suck it up, you wind up being a high-paid hobbyist and respected commentator on television because you fell in line and you sucked it up. Now, when Bernie Sanders doesn't do that, he embarrasses the rest of you because it turns out you could have had principles and you could have stuck to them. But since you didn't, Sanders grates on your every nerve. Why does he continue to carry on about trying to fix the system? Why doesn't he fall in line and suck it up? Well, if that bothers you, you might be in the establishment.
Pretty much. You fucker. He's got a goddamn point. I'm telling you right now, I don't think Sanders should give up. And I honestly think that after today, after Barack Obama talks to that sumbitch, I think freaking Bernie Sanders is going to bow down. And then it's going to raise theories about what did Barack Obama say to him to actually make him fall in line. What did he do?
Today's payday.
Yeah, I know it is. So, that just goes to tell you what the hell is up. Okay. I don't know. I couldn't tell you what the hell is going on. Let's see what the hell they say live here. That is too loud. That is too loud.
You might not notice us. Our solutions are helping you make the most of your everyday life.
These solutions ain't helping shit.
We create chemistry.
This program is brought to you by BASF. We create chemistry.
Show him you care by shopping our KG Father's Day Looks event.
If Trump told everybody that bacon is good, he'd get a lot of fucking voters.
Are two for $25. Come to shop and prepare to save at K&G.
Look at the Scooby-Doo. Legos.
Yes, I know. And you know, they made Lego Scooby-Doo and shit like that, but what's really stupid is now they're making Lego fucking goddamn, now they're making Lego fucking TV shows out of it and stuff like that. Well, the Lego series is fucking popular as a video game. The Lego series as of a TV show, in my opinion, just looks plain stupid. There's Legos for a reason. You play with Legos, right? But now Legos were a toy, right? They're a novelty toy, and they kind of wore off, right? All of a sudden, they found their fucking new muse. They found their new power with video games. Hey, since you guys won't play with Legos the blocks, will you play with Legos if they were a video game? And turned out, it was highly successful. But just because it's highly successful on a video, you know, this is what people need to stop doing. Well, yes, Earthworm Jim and a lot of games and a lot of shows did turn out, you know, a lot of cartoons that were in the 80s and 90s were toys at first. They were toy advertisements first. They got so popular as a toy, they made cartoons out of them. So here's the damn thing. Video games are getting so popular now that they're making movies out of them. But the movies are junk. The only movie that was actually accurate to his fucking goddamn game was Ratchet and Clank, and look how well that did. It flopped so fucking bad, it's not even acknowledged that it was a movie.
Donald Trump, but there are questions about what could actually be her biggest challenge with voters. Watch.
It is possible that your biggest obstacle is not your opponent, but yourself. 52% of the American people who participated in our CBS News poll have an unfavorable opinion of you. That is the highest negative impression of anyone ever nominated by the Democratic Party since we started asking that question in 1984. Do you bear any responsibility for that?
Oh, I'm sure I do, but I think when I was Secretary of State and serving our country, I had an approval rating of 66%, and I think it's fair to ask, well, what's happened? And what's happened is millions of dollars of negative advertising and coverage that has been
now she's blaming advertisement and coverage when Donald Trump was all over the fucking news.
She didn't do it. No,
we'll wait for her to finish.
By reaching out to Senator Sanders supporters, to many others across our country, including, I hope, Republicans and independents.
She can't.
Harris, did you hear that? She blamed ad dollars, and she said coverage. That's the media. It is always the damn media's fault. Well, always us.
She tried to put us behind ropes. She's tried everything she can do. I mean, Sandra and I are going to have to chase her down on our inline skates to try to get her to do another news conference after a 6-month wait. But, I mean, you see Scott Pelley there. He put on his I can see through everything glasses.
Yeah, he did.
Because you're going to have to. I mean, come on. Everything is about the tens of millions of dollars that have just been spent recently. That's not really possible. That's not plausible. I don't know anybody who would believe that the trouble only started now when you saw her campaign early on. Start, restart. Start, re-image. Start, repackage. Why do you think they're doing that?
Yep. Yeah, in that interview with Brett Baer, he pointed out the fact that 65% of the country thinks that we are on the wrong track, only 26% say we're on the right track. She said we need more good jobs with good incomes, small business is not being created. So he said, okay, great, what would you do that is different from what the current president is doing? She stammered, she halted. Finally, David, she said that she wanted to emphasize infrastructure and green jobs. That's different from President Obama.
Exactly.
Emphasize structure and green jobs. That's exactly what Obama's campaign was about.
It's also, what good has it done? We've seen how many jobs have been lost in the coal industry. She wants to now apply that to all fossil fuels. How many millions? We've had tens of thousands of jobs lost in coal. How many millions of jobs will we lose? The problem with Hillary Clinton, the Wall Street Journal had a big write-out on it yesterday, is that many people say she's just not genuine. Who is she? Is she the Hillary Clinton of the Saul Alinsky days when she was young? Is she the Bill Clinton type of Democrat?
You can't be a Bill Clinton type of Democrat.
Is she a Bernie Sanders kind of Democrat because she's been running that way recently? Nobody knows. Donald Trump is an American original. You were talking about Muhammad Ali, and we've got the funeral coming up for him. He was an American original. What is Hillary Clinton? She's just not genuine.
Did either of you mention the Keystone Pipeline yet? Because remember, as Secretary of State, she said she would be inclined to approve the Keystone Pipeline. She then, under intense pressure from Bernie Sanders, flip-flopped on there. So we've seen many flip-flops, but let me challenge this for a second, maybe Jedediah, and say, is it okay for a candidate, and a lot of her flip-flops actually, and the changing of her views happened before she was Hillary Clinton, the presidential candidate. Is it okay for a candidate or somebody who's planning on running to evolve and change?
I would say yes. That's going to be a hard point for Republicans to pick on her about, too, because Donald Trump has evolved on a number of issues. Mitt Romney, there used to be a website in the last election that had the two sides of Mitt Romney.
I know.
You could almost
Your
go
mom's
down
getting out of
every
control.
single issue, from abortion to whatever it was, and you could see him being on both sides. So I think that's going to be a tough point for Republicans to make. I think she's not genuine, but I think the bigger point is that she's terrible at this and she knows it. She's a terrible politician. I don't like when politicians blame the media, because oftentimes it's the politicians that can't stand up and defend themselves that do that. And why is that? Because they're a terrible politician. She's not good at this. She knows it. And in her, what was she going to say to the CBS? She would say, "Oh, well, I'm a terrible politician. I'm bad at this. I can't prove to you that I'm a real person, that I care about issues." I mean, that's like true.
You look at her in that interview with Scott Pelley, and you look at the interview that she did with Brett Baer, and there's so much stammering and halting, and she's searching for words, and it's not like the questions were surprising. I mean, some of them were tough.
For her, they are.
Surprising?
For her, they are. I mean, the media and her view, perhaps, because she was First Lady, she was Secretary, are supposed to capitulate. They're not supposed to be
they're not supposed to challenge her. It's not supposed to be bristly. So I think particularly for the mainstream media outside Fox, since, she wouldn't sit down for the longest time. Now she is. She knows she's going to get tough. We know, she knows that she's going to get tough from Brett Baer. Right? Maybe she didn't anticipate them from Scott Pelley. Maybe that's why he put on those gorgeous glasses so he could ready her. This is coming. I'm looking at my notes now. Get ready. David, I love you. Go on.
I was just going to say, she tried in the beginning of the campaign to use the woman excuse for some of the reasons that she was getting beat up. Because I know a lot of people who would like to vote for me, but they can't because I'm.
Play the victim.
I haven't met those people, but she claims to have. It seems to be falling flat. Am I wrong on that? Because people point to things like, well, it didn't stop Maggie Thatcher from getting re-elected in England 30 years ago.
There's a reason for that, because it's offensive to women to say that, because it makes us look like we need special treatment. You can't be tough on me because I'm a woman, and any woman who has any self-respect is going to have a problem with that, which goes across the political spectrum.
Amen. You're smiling. Right. Amen.
You tell me.
I'm just going back to I go back to one initial points of this conversation was her views on the economy and how you're talking about her playing the women card. She's gone from that now to saying her husband's going to fix the economy if she's elected president.
Right.
That bugs me. I hate that. All right, Secretary of State John Kerry ordering the State Department to re-examine how a video of a 2013 press conference was censored discussion about the Iran nuclear deal, why they didn't get to the bottom of this in the first go-around, and whether an outside group should take over the probe.
What's it like to be in good hands? Like finding new ways to be taken care of. Home, car, life insurance, obviously. But with added touches you can't get everywhere else, like claim-free rewards or safe driving bonus checks. Oh, yes. Even a claim satisfaction guarantee.
Okay.
Needs protection.
Now that's not a commercial. I could just sit here and say my opinion about that. Hillary Clinton is a coward. It's like they said, I watched a couple of her interviews already this morning. Come on. Give me a break. She sucks. Her point of views are just completely lackluster. She's going to go right with the goddamn establishment. She's going to follow Obama's fucking terms and conditions on account that he's protecting her from being indicted. I mean, come on, she is going to fall in line. Now she wants everybody else to fall in line. Whatever.
Extras. Only from an expert Allstate agent.
Let's refresh this. I want to stay right up on the up and up.
$1,500 in savings, including a free American Standard Right Height toilet. Don't delay. Call 1-800-425-8414 for your free information kit. $1,500 in savings, including a free toilet. At 1-800-425-8414. Tired of redosing it?
Let's talk about how great Donald Trump is, so that way we can fucking goddamn get Hillary out.
Acid goes to work in seconds, and the acid reducer lasts up to 12 hours. In one chewable tablet. Try new Duo Fusion from the makers of Zantac.
After more than 4,000 years, it's your moment to reserve your place in history. That voyage begins again, July 7th.
Introducing Turbo 10 from Nutrisystem. Lose up to 10 pounds your first month, guaranteed.
Lose your first 10 pounds.
I love how everybody
fast
talks
with
about
Turbo
bacon.
10 from Nutrisystem.
Your 10 could turn into 20, 30, 50, even more. I'm Marie and I lost 50 pounds on Nutrisystem. You'll see results right away. Count, measure, meetings? Not with Nutrisystem.
Order your 28-day plan right now and we'll rush you Turbo 10. Get specially designed meals, plus 1 week of NutriCrush shakes to crush hunger free, and 1 week of Turbo shakes to help bust belly bloat free.
Bye-bye, stubborn belly fat.
Plus, FedEx shipping absolutely free. With Turbo 10, you'll lose up to 10 pounds fast. Lose weight, money back guaranteed. Millions of people have lost weight on Nutrisystem, and you can too.
Your first 10 pounds? Gone.
Call 888-672-DIET right now and get Turbo 10 with shakes free.
I'm Betty White, and I'm known for trying to be
God
funny.
damn, Betty White. I can't believe she's still kicking.
I was nervous about living alone. What if I fell? how would I get help? But now, Phillips Lifeline allows me to live with confidence because I know help is always available.
Phillips Lifeline is the #1 medical alert service in the U.S. today.
Anyone over 65 with a medical condition that inhibits their mobility, particularly if they live alone, needs a Phillips Lifeline.
Phillips Lifeline's been recommended by more than 200,000 healthcare professionals and has served more than 7 million seniors.
I'm proud to wear my Phillips Lifeline. It shows I'm smart enough to take care of myself.
Innovation and you. Phillips Lifeline. Lifeline can make every day Father's Day. Call right now for a limited time offer and receive free activation, free shipping and handling, and a free lockbox with purchase.
Outnumbered.
New fallout. In the scandal over the State Department caught editing a press briefing video about the Iran nuclear deal, Secretary of State John Kerry is now ordering the department to reopen the investigation. This after a spokesman said last week the probe had hit a dead end. Turns out the agency only had interviewed one person and never looked for email evidence of anyone who may have been responsible.
Of course.
Part of that 2013
Trying to cover it
press
up.
briefing went missing from the agency's YouTube channel, the part where a State Department spokeswoman essentially admitted officials might sometimes mislead the public to achieve their goals. Doesn't that mean lie? Anyway, at first, the State Department blamed it on a glitch. Before it was revealed a video tech was asked to make that edit. So, Secretary Kerry said last week, Sandra, that this was stupid and inappropriate. Representative Jason Chaffetz was with us this week, and he told us that, look, if the Secretary really feels like that, he needs to come on board to the Oversight Committee in the House and start an investigation.
Look, even if this is just for appearance, they have to make it look like they are on this and that they're going to dig deeper. Because right now, Toner is saying that they should be able to solve this mystery eventually. Okay, interviewing one person isn't going to get you there. A whole lot more needs to be done here with new information.
Absolutely, but can we just say bravo to James Rosen?
Yes, sir.
First of all, asking the question at this presser and then finding out that they had erased the tape. I mean, he just has done an extraordinary job and has now gotten the attention of the Secretary of State. This was in 2013, the original press conference. That's the year that Secretary Kerry became Secretary of State. There is a question as to what his involvement was, if any, in the erasing of this tape, because he was the man in charge at the time of this presser. So how can a person in charge of an agency that made a mistake investigate that? There are a lot of questions about who's going to investigate, but we got to find out who ordered the erasing.
All right, so just to put this into context, in case people, are tuning in and out and don't quite know why this is important, this isn't like a little edit, Katie Couric style, where you add in some extra silence to make it look like something happened to the gun people that didn't happen. It's not like that, for which she apologized for. This is scrubbing the public record. That's why it's important. So, Jedediah, they've got to get this right. I don't know, maybe John Kerry sounding like a man who might want to run for president again someday.
No,
this
look
terrible.
at him.
I mean,
He looks like he's on
there was
drugs.
a lot of media pressure to look into this. I think a lot of reporters left, right, and center picked up on it immediately, so they felt pressured. It's just stunning to me what they think they can get away with. That somebody thought somehow they were going to do this. They were going to delete very important information from the public record, and no one was going to ask questions. Of course we were. Of course people were going to remember what actually happened there and wonder and question them. I think this is one of those situations, though, where we might actually get an answer, because it's probably a low-level person that was involved here that they can shift accountability toward. I think that may be how this works out.
Can I speak to that quickly? Because I think that's so before they said, they've hit a dead end, and they tried to just slough it off with that, which was very funny because that doesn't make any sense. Then spokesman Mark Toner said the technician who made the edit does know the gender of the person who called and asked for
so we can eliminate a few people here.
Right. They know the gender, so we're circling in on it. I mean, the gender of the person.
Trump ain't gonna send in nobody.
It's not like they've got to interview thousands of people.
We don't have to send in anybody to take care of this
Why
shit.
can't we interview 300
We got all the weapons in the world. We got drones. We don't need to send in people. We got drones.
Okay, so you can eliminate a few people, but in response, they said that they're not going to get into that right now as far as male or female. All right, let's shift gears a little bit to what's happening right now. Fox News World, we have just been given a 2-minute warning that someone may come out of the White House and step to the microphones. Now, we know a couple of things are going on. President Obama, Bernie Sanders
here we go.
are inside
Bernie
talking.
Sanders is going to fall
Bernie
in
had
line.
a night of defeat on Tuesday night. Hillary Clinton clinching the nomination with the number of delegates that she needed as she marches forward to lead the Democrats. And now, as we watch, let's see what's going to happen. Is he going to talk? I'll stop talking.
Thank you all. Let me begin by thanking President Obama and thanking Vice President Biden for the degree of impartiality they established during the course of this entire process. What they said in the beginning is that they would not put their thumb on the scales, and in fact they kept their word, and I appreciate that very, very much. Our campaign has been about building a movement which brings working people and young people into the political process to create a government which represents all of us and not just a handful of wealthy campaign contributors. We will continue doing everything that we can to oppose the drift which currently exists toward an oligarchic form of society where a handful of billionaires exercise enormous power over our political, economic, and media life. This is the wealthiest nation in the history of the world. We should not be having millions of senior citizens and disabled veterans struggling to put food on the table because of inadequate Social Security benefits. We should not have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth. We should not be having Americans in inner cities, in rural communities, on Native American reservations who have life expectancies lower than many people in third world countries. We should not be having many of our young people leaving college deeply in debt. We should not be having in this great country an infrastructure which is crumbling, where we have millions of workers prepared to rebuild that infrastructure. And in the midst of all of that, we should not be having a situation where Wall Street, corporate America, and billionaires are failing to pay their fair share of taxes. These are some of the issues that many millions of Americans have supported during my campaign. These are the issues that we will take to the Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia at the end of July. Donald Trump would clearly, to my mind, and I think the majority of Americans, be a disaster as President of the United States.
Of course. They're going to make sure that it shits on Donald Trump.
To me, and I say this in all sincerity, that the Republican Party would have a candidate for president who in the year 2016 makes bigotry and discrimination the cornerstone of his campaign. In my view, the American people will not vote for or tolerate a candidate who insults Mexicans and Latinos, who insults Muslims,
hey, he said the word Mexican,
African Americans, and women. Needless to say, I am going to do everything in my power, and I will work as hard as I can to make sure that Donald Trump does not become president of the United States. I will, of course, be competing in the D.C. primary, which will be held next Tuesday. This is the last primary of the Democratic nominating process. The major point that I will be making to the citizens of the District of Columbia is that I am strongly in favor of D.C. statehood. The state of Vermont, which I represent, has about the same number of residents that Washington, D.C. has, except we have 2 United States senators and 1 congressman with full rights, while D.C. does not. That does not make any sense. Also, I look forward to the full counting of the votes in California
which I suspect will show a much closer vote than the current vote tally. I spoke briefly to Secretary Clinton on Tuesday night, and I congratulated her on her very strong campaign. I look forward to meeting with her in the near future to see how we can work together to defeat Donald Trump and to create a government which represents all of us and not just the 1%. Thank you very much.
All right, so that was filled with nuggets of information from the Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, who had met for quite some time with President Obama this morning. We were not led to believe one thing or the other, whether he would drop out of the race at this point, but we knew that there would be a message delivered a la the House Minority Speaker, or House Minority Leader, I should say, Nancy Pelosi, who had said Bernie knows what's on the line. He will not be treated any differently than any other candidate. My question is, David, quote, I, of course, will be competing in the D.C. primary next Tuesday.
Bingo.
Is this a loss for President Obama? He couldn't convince Bernie to drop out.
It's a loss for Obama, but it's a loss for the Democratic establishment that wanted him to come out and say,
Well, isn't the president part of the establishment?
Well, I'm not so sure. I mean, the one thing he said is, I appreciate, remember, he began by saying, I really appreciate how President Obama has not tipped his hat in all this, has not tipped his hand, and it is true.
But he says he's going to endorse Hillary Clinton.
But still, the point is, the president had a lot of power. The president of the United States has enormous power that he could have brought to bear. I'm wondering if he brought all of that power to bear on
totally
Bernie.
disagree.
You think he gave everything he could to get him to drop out?
I think that was Bernie Sanders saying, stick it. I mean, he came out there, boy. I mean, he delivered his same message, only now to everyone. To everyone. He is standing there. I mean, he had the microphone. He was standing at the White House. He said, I will not stand by and have this country be ruled by oligarchs. He's talking about people with money and power. That is Hillary Clinton and the Clintons as well as
Donald Trump. He directly targeted him. He said, I will work as hard as I can to make sure Trump does not become the president of the United States. He said a Trump presidency would be a, quote, disaster. He said Trump makes bigotry and discrimination a cornerstone of his campaign. He did go on to say, though, that he did call Hillary Clinton the other night and congratulated her on her victories.
Yeah, I saw you making a note at that point. What stuck out?
A good campaign.
I saw you making a note at that point, Sandra. What stuck out to you?
The fact that he called Hillary Clinton? Well, remember, his speech that evening was everybody was saying this is a night for history. Hillary Clinton, the first female to be the nominee of her party, and he didn't say much at all, but he was telling us just now that he did call her.
All right, so Jedediah, the last time I saw or heard anything that looked like this was Vice President Joe Biden when he didn't want to get out of the race.
Yeah.
I think he stood in that very spot.
I know. I think there's a plan here. They need Bernie Sanders. They absolutely need him. If Hillary Clinton were smart, and I'm not in the business of advising her, but if I were, that is her vice president right there. That is her candidate, because that is a ticket that is very difficult to beat. Then you have Hillary Clinton at the top, so some view as very accomplished, and she brings the establishment with her, and you have Bernie Sanders at the bottom, who has appealed to a lot of young people, a lot of academics, who has that Barack Obama appeal.
Did you talk about that with
I
the
think
president?
there's a plan behind closed doors here. Absolutely 100%. I would be very surprised.
You know, in her off time, Jedediah wears like superhero outfits.
She could have been visible on Instagram.
I could have zoomed over there, climbed the wall over her. You don't know what's happening with me.
But based on the facts that we know right now, how in the world would that work with independents? You got a socialist on the ticket?
You also, by the way, have a very old ticket. Not to say that Bernie hasn't attracted a lot of young people. He has, but that's a pretty old ticket. 70, what is he, 73, 74?
Well, there are no people who are left who are, in their 50s.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it just skews so far to the left that a lot of independents. Remember, third American Public is independent. I don't know if they go with all that stuff.
I don't know if people hear that word the way we do, though. I don't know when you say socialist. I don't know if people have that negative connotation.
Not necessarily young people, but again, 2/3 of the public are not in that camp. after the
Gallup,
polls.
though,
Sanders just made a beautiful point.
Half the Democrats.
We don't know who Trump is going to pick for vice president. Well, when you're adding up ages, we can't add up the other ticket, right? Or any of this. In terms of a pitch to independence, we don't know who that will be. That's very interesting. It is getting really interesting. Well, this happened again. Katie Couric facing new accusations of misleading viewers in another one of her films. What this says about the mainstream media, or at least Katie Couric, we'll talk about it.
A message from the Pulaski Law Firm. A government study reports thousands of workers have been diagnosed with asbestos-related mesothelioma. To compensate those affected, asbestos...
You guys heard the Bernie Sanders campaign.
$30 billion in initial funding. You may be entitled to financial compensation.
Seems like they're cutting deals behind closed doors, but he's still going to take it to D.C. I think they're thinking this might be a good boost for Hillary Clinton, but honestly, American people more have common sense than the politicians do, so it's just up to the American people what they're going to do.
America is now making history.
I can see another Bush and Gore where they're going to fucking just push electoral college on the fucking goddamn Hillary Clinton.
Entirely unacceptable. Hi, I'm William Devane, and we are now in more debt than we've ever been. And paying this down anytime soon looks pretty grim, which is why I protect my assets and buy gold from Roslyn Capital. Whether you want new or old gold coins or premium collector coins, Roslyn has them all. Plus, what you order is what you get. No gimmicks, no nonsense, no hassle. And they still have the fastest shipping around. So if you're concerned about this, protect yourself with this.
But he's ready
Buy
as hell.
gold and silver from
He's trying to
Roslyn
go slow
Capital.
with it so don't fucking squirm.
What's in your safe? Call now and get a free gold kit, a free silver kit, and a free IRA transfer kit. Call 800-329-9300. 800-329-9300. 800-329-9300.
It's white and hell.
They used to shut me down during pickup days.
Let's go.
But with free leukemia, continuous pain relief, I can box out any muscle or joint pain immediately.
As I said, bite me.
Leukemia, continuous pain relief spread. Works fast.
Let me just finish it.
Double down on style. Right now at Men's Warehouse.
It's ready.
Buy one, get one free on most suits,
I know I
sport
heard.
coats, dress shirts, ties, and sportswear. And take 30% off all shoes.
God damn it, dude, you get it. It's ready. It's right there. Here, let me take a picture and show you. Here, come here. Let me show you.
Are you missing
Just
out
pick
on
it then.
life because you're
Pick
putting
it and
off
just let me get the
neck or
rest
back
of it.
surgery?
No, it hurts.
I know. Let me see. I'll take a
Laser
picture.
Spine
I'll show you.
Institute, the leader in minimally invasive spine surgery, to learn how a less than 1-inch incision can have you up and walking within a few hours of surgery, free from chronic back pain, and with no hospital stay and no lengthy recovery. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with spinal stenosis, bulging herniated disc, sciatica, or other chronic conditions, call today for your no-cost MRI review. I was suffering with pain really bad to the point where I couldn't even stand
Turn
up
off
straight.
blurry.
Now, I can do everything that I did prior to my
Now
back
let me get
injury.
it.
I can play with my kids. I can go
I
bike riding,
understand,
soccer,
Shannon.
football, fishing.
Well, let me check another one. Let me look for some more.
You might need neck or back surgery.
What about it?
1-844-429-BACK
So
now
what?
for your no-cost MRI review. Laser Spine Institute, a less than 1-inch incision, a lifetime of standing tall. Can a toothpaste do
You want me to help you or
everything
not?
well?
This cream was like, pow.
It felt like
Well, that's it for me today. For now, anyway.
They look great.
They are so white.
Thank you very much, guys. Majin Stu.
Times white.
In the certain spots that I get very sensitive, I really notice it.